Hey guys. So lately I've been kind of figuring out where I want to be in life, what I want to do for a career. I knew I wanted to be with computers, but there's so much to do with it that I was having a hard time. And recently I came up with kind of the trifecta of what I wanted to do. Programming, IT, and sort of documentation. Now, those are subject to change a little bit as I figure out exactly what each of those mean, but I kind of have an idea with each. Like with programming, obviously I love creating games. I want to program games, but I also like solving problems and finding patterns and stuff. And I think that's a part of programming. With IT, I'm kind of getting into the hardware and technical stuff. And with the documentation, obviously, like English comprehension, retaining what I read is really important. Having good English, taking good notes of what I'm doing, I'm realizing that's more and more important. And as I'm kind of figuring this out, I'm realizing, yeah, it does play well into everything that I've always been into. So today I wanted to go through all of the different things that have kind of led to me wanting to be in computers in the way that I'm just explained. Both heavy on the programming and the programming side, the software side, and the hardware side, building stuff. So when I was really little, Star Wars was the rage, and there was the droids, and those were so cool to me. And I had, so many imaginary games where I was running around killing the droids, but then I would, take the wires out of them and wire up new droids for me. Just having fun as a little kid, but even back then I realized that I liked robotics. It was interesting to me. And another thing when I was a little kid was I played games. Speaking about Star Wars, one of my favorite games. I have a few of them actually. I played the N64 a heck of a lot. These are four of my favorites that we had. And this is my N64. It's a bit dusty, out of use. This was my controller specifically. We had a few, but this one was mine. And if you see, what's so cool about this is you can see through the plastic. You can actually tell there's stuff going on in the inside. And that intrigued me when I was little. I was fascinated by that. Now, you can't really see it too well. And that kind of, ironically reflects that there was stuff going on in my head, but I just couldn't see it too well. It was too fuzzy. Of course, I never wanted to take anything apart. That's been a huge thing. Not wanting to take things apart and tinker too much because, well, we did. If I broke it, there was no way I was getting this thing replaced. Not with my allowance. But there were other instances, like in third grade, me and a friend were allowed to take apart some headphones that had broken. And that was super cool. Thankfully, the teacher let us do that because I saw, hey, there's stuff going on inside of here, and maybe we can figure out how to fix it. I never was able to, but it instilled in me that there was stuff going on inside of this technology that surrounded me in my youth, and I could possibly learn it. That was a path. And it's taken a long time since then, a whole bunch of trial and errors, but I'm finally breaking through the other side, and I'm loving it now, so that's why I'm taking a little trip down memory lane. There were some things that were kind of cool. This a girlfriend got for me, and it's a little solar rover. It's for my birthday, or Christmas, or something like that, and, it charges up in sunlight, generates a motor, and it goes. The one problem I've had with this is, while I've had an inquisitive mind, I've been too inquisitive. Instead of just enjoying this for what it is, I went through a bout of needing to know all about the physics of this, of solar panels and of motors and electricity, instead of just, enjoying it for a little thing. I've had a tough time balancing that out, but that is a skill that you develop over time. And I think it's important to have that tinkering aspect, but it's also important to be able to utilize this stuff. All right, that's it with this guy. I'll move him out of the way. Then, of course, I had a computer, and this wasn't when I this wasn't one I had built. This is one that we just bought, store made, and it lasted a while before it started to break. And I've looked around inside. I've taken a class in high school that did some computer work, but not nearly enough. But I mean, I've messed around with it, tried to solve the problems, looked around in it. I have my current computer that I did build, so I've gotten a little bit in experience here and there. I don't have the mastery over it like I want to. I could probably fix this, and I mean, it's not 100% broken. It turns on, and there's programs on here that I'd love to get off. and see if I can update them and, revisit them. But it's a part of the tinkering aspect, like taking this apart and looking at it and knowing that there's various things that I could learn and understand and utilize. And then there's this, one of my more recent little fun things is in a Lego little microcontroller. Look at this bad boy. I think this, yeah, is this it? Nope. It's somewhere around in here. Maybe I took it out. Maybe I took it out and it's out somewhere. Nope, this is it. There we go. Yeah. It's basically just a small version of that computer. I have wires, and if I had this when I was a little kid, oh my goodness, I would have been in love. I loved wires, but there's cool stuff. But again, just like this, I got way too involved in needing to know freaking about solar panels and electric generators before I could just have fun letting it run around. This, because we're using it in a programming class and we're using C++ to program it, I needed to know everything about C++ before I could just play with it, even though, there's some fun things. And now I'm realizing how useful this kind of stuff could be in really deeply and purposefully learning some of the concepts in IT and hardware and programming, instead of feeling like I have to master it. That's been a huge hurdle. I don't have to master things to play with them anymore. So maybe I'll take another run at this and set it up and use these materials that I've accrued over time, over a whole life, and make them useful now. I definitely think that's a big thing, is using stuff that I've accumulated over time. I have some knowledge, but I'm still illiterate in a sense that I want to be. And I can gain it now. It's like I've overcome the big block, and I can just start messing with this stuff now and having fun. And documenting it is going to be an important part. That's going to be a skill I'm going to have to learn too. Something I never wanted to do was write about things. And as I've done more and more and more of documenting, of software, of hardware, it's like, the soup simmered for long enough, and now the stew is ready. To come up with a completely ridiculous example. But I'm like ready to start tackling these things. My energy is refilled from doing this stuff instead of drained. And that was a big thing for a long time, is it was really draining because I was exhausting myself going down every single corridor, every single door I came to. But over time, I learned to be more selective, and that's part of the natural process. I think it's completely okay. So some of my videos are going to be taking these apart. I just learned about what a home lab was, and if I had known about that and been a little bit more purposeful with what I was doing when I was younger, I would realize that's what I've been doing all along. Is this stuff is all pieces of a home lab, so I can start practicing that, and that's going to be maybe a part of the next steps that I take. Anyways, guys, take care.